Intense fighting continues as Israel has expanded its ground offensive in Gaza. Israeli strikes have now targeted refugee camps. This latest move threatens to derail the ongoing hostage release talks. This as the war is now expanding well beyond Israel's borders. We will begin with what's happening on ground. In the latest, Israel has confirmed that it attacked a densely populated refugee camp in North Gaza. It's called the Jabalia refugee camp. Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says at least 50 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli strikes on the camp. The visuals on your screen now show the utter scale of devastation caused in the aftermath of the attack. Israel's army says it secured a central Hamas stronghold in the refugee camp airstrike. The IDF has announced that its fighter jets eliminated commander of Hamas's central Jabalia battalion, who they say was one of the leaders responsible for the deadly terror attack on October 7th. Intense fighting has taken place in Gaza in the last 24 hours or so. As Israel continues to pound Gaza relentlessly, it has sent its ground forces into the enclave. Israel says its troops have hit anti-tank missiles, launching cells and observation posts, seizing many guns and explosives, and also killed dozens of militants. While Hamas's armed wing said that it had ambushed troops in northern Gaza, with its fighters having opened fire on 3 Israeli military vehicles. The Israeli army later said 2 of its soldiers were killed during combat operations in northern Gaza. Moving on now to the hostage situation. The military wing of Hamas says that the group plans to release some non-Israeli hostages that they have been holding in the coming days. In a video statement, the group announced that the release had been arranged through mediation by some nations. Though these nations were not named, Hamas also did not reveal how many hostages would be freed, but said the group no longer had the desire or the need to keep them. Meanwhile, the Qatari Prime Minister has told visiting Thailand Foreign Minister that efforts are on to secure the release of the hostages. However, after the Israeli strike on Gaza's refugee camp, Qatar has warned that Israeli aggression can undermine the talks on hostages. Meanwhile, the war is expanding beyond the borders. Tensions have been rising on the Israeli border with Lebanon since the war began, as the fighting continues with militant group Hezbollah. On Tuesday, Lebanon accused Israel of white phosphorus attacks, over which it said it will file a complaint to the United Nations. Elsewhere, Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels said that they attacked Israel on Tuesday. They quote-unquote launched a large batch of ballistic missiles, and a large number of armed aircraft were launched at Israel. The Houthi rebels pledge more attacks against Israel if its war on Hamas in Gaza continues. Now shifting focus to the aid situation in Gaza. Dozens of Egyptian volunteers at the Rafah crossing facilitated the movement of aid trucks into Gaza on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the White House said 66 trucks of humanitarian assistance entered Gaza in the last 24 hours and that dozens more are expected to be cleared for deliveries. The U.S. acknowledges that level of truck aid deliveries so far is just a fraction of how much is actually needed in Gaza. U.S. officials say they would like to reach up to 100 trucks a day. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden spoke with King Abdullah, and both nations agreed that it is critical to ensure that Palestinians are not forcibly displaced outside of Gaza. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke with the Israeli president via phone and reiterated U.S. support to Israel's right to defend itself. Blinken will begin a new tour to the West Asian region amid the war on Friday. He will visit Israel and make other stops in the region as well. In other updates, Bolivia has announced that it is cutting diplomatic ties with Israel as it demands an end to attacks in the Gaza Strip. Bolivia accused Israel of committing crimes against humanity and has become the first country to sever ties with Israel over the war with Hamas. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.